When I finally found Mikko again, I honestly believed I'd arrived too late. The horse standing in front of me barely resembled the one I'd known before. Then he looked up, and the next moment caught me completely off guard. At the time, Mikko was living in a government holding facility for wild horses. Horses were gathered from public land and kept there until someone was willing to give them a home. A ranch eventually adopted him, and I volunteered to help after he arrived. I didn't go there expecting anything special. I just wanted to spend a little time with him and let him get used to my presence.
They're coming over to check it out too. Oh, hello.
The first time I walked into his pen, I reached my hand toward him as gently as I could. Before I could get close, he stepped away. His body stayed tense, his eyes watched every move I made, and it was easy to see how frightened he still was. Instead of following him, I stopped where I was and simply stood there in silence. We shared that quiet space for several minutes. Slowly, I noticed his ears turn in my direction. It was only a small sign of curiosity, but for a horse who trusted almost no one, it felt important. I left that day without touching him, yet I drove home feeling like we had already begun something neither of us could put into words. I came back the following week, and then the week after that. Every visit looked almost the same. Sometimes Mikko stayed close enough to watch me, sometimes he kept a little distance. I never tried to rush him because I knew trust couldn't be forced. It had to be offered one quiet moment at a time. After several weeks, Mikko finally walked close enough for me to reach him. I lifted my hand slowly and waited. He hesitated for a moment before allowing me to touch his neck. The contact lasted only a few seconds, but it felt like a very big step for both of us. He was still nervous, but he had chosen not to walk away. Not long afterward, I arrived at the ranch expecting another ordinary visit. I looked around, but Mikko wasn't anywhere in the pasture. I asked where he had gone, hoping he had simply been moved to another field. Instead, someone told me he had been sold because he was considered too much work. No one knew where he was now, and no one could tell me what had happened after he left. I asked everyone I could think of, hoping someone might have an answer. Every conversation ended the same way. Mikko was gone, and all I could do was hope he had found someone willing to give him the patience he deserved. Several weeks passed, and I still couldn't stop thinking about him. Then one day, a friend sent me an email with a Craigslist listing for a horse that needed a home. At first glance, I almost didn't recognize him. He was painfully thin, his coat had become dull, and his eyes were filled with fear. Then I noticed the white brand on his body. I had seen it so many times before. It was Mikko. I answered the listing immediately and began the 12-hour drive to bring him home. During the entire trip, I kept wondering whether he would remember me after everything he had been through. I told myself not to expect anything. The most important thing was simply finding him again. The moment I walked inside, Mikko looked up and saw me. Without hesitation, he came over and rested his head against my chest. I wrapped my arms around his neck and stood there quietly with him. That simple moment said more than words ever could, and I knew I had made the right decision. Bringing Mikko home was only the beginning of another journey. Even in a safe place, he was still deeply afraid. He often ran in circles when something startled him, and even a gentle touch could make his whole body shake. I reminded myself every day that healing doesn't happen just because an animal reaches a new home.
Got an itch?
I asked several experienced trainers to work with him, hoping one of them could help him feel more confident. Instead, Mikko became anxious around each new person. The only time he seemed able to relax was when I stayed beside him. After seeing that happen again and again, I realized I needed to stop searching for someone else to build his trust. We would simply learn together.
What would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm a 10.
A 10?
Yeah.
That's like flawless though.
Yeah, I am flawless.
For the next 2 years, we worked side by side every single day. We never rushed the process or expected quick results. Some days nothing seemed to change at all, but I learned that progress isn't always easy to see. Then one quiet day, Mikko stood calmly and allowed me to place a saddle on his back for the first time. That moment wasn't the end of our journey. It was simply another small step we had earned together.
He's not attached to me. But he's just walking right next to me like he would. We've never done this before.
Today, our days look very different. We spend time exploring forest trails and walking along quiet beaches, enjoying places that once would have frightened him. Every now and then, I look over and realize he's walking right beside me without being asked. We've never practiced that. He stays because he feels comfortable, and that means more to me than any lesson I could have taught him. For a long time, I believed Mikko would only ever trust me. Lately, I've watched him become more relaxed around other people too. Seeing that change has reminded me that real trust isn't about making an animal depend on us forever. It's about helping him feel safe enough to welcome others into his world when he's ready. Looking back, I'm grateful that I never listened to the people who said Mikko wasn't worth the time. Every animal deserves the chance to be understood at their own pace. If you're thinking about adopting or rescuing an animal, take time to learn about their needs, seek advice from experienced people, and be honest about the commitment you're making. And if stories like Mikko's bring a little warmth to your day, I'd be grateful if you'd like, share, and subscribe so we can continue sharing these quiet journeys together.
Yeah. Oh. Go? Alright, come on. You're doing so good.